Assalamualaikum. Hello guys. In this occasion, we will explain about attitude and application in social linguistic from 10 group. Happy watching. Before this, I will introduce our team. There are Dimas Nalendra, I'm Hanif Nur Rohmah, and Rizky Fitriyani. Part 1. Attitude. Attitudes to language. Language attitudes are evolutive reaction to different language varieties. Past research has primarily focused on documenting attitudes towards standard and non-standard language varieties. Standard varieties are those that adhere to codified norms defining correct usage in terms of grammar, pronunciation, and vocabulary, whereas non-standard varieties are those that depart from such norms in some manner. Standard and non-standard varieties elicit different evolutive reaction along the status and solidarity dimension. Because language attitudes are learned, they are inherently prone to change. Language attitudes mean change in response to shift in intergroup relation and government language policies, as well as more dynamically as a function of the social comparative context in which they are evoked. Once evoked, language attitudes can have merit behavioral consequences, with negative attitudes typically promoting prejudice, discrimination, and problematic social interaction. Next, what is this topic about? Overt and covert prestige is slippery concept. The meaning of overt prestige is reasonably self-evident. Attitude to Standard English and RP Standard English has an enormous legacy of overt prestige. Attitudes to vernacular form of English. While attitudes always are changing and new varieties of British Black English, these varieties can be described as vernacular varieties which are condemned or ridiculed by those who consider themselves guardians of the language. African American Vernacular English. Example. What makes me feel that blacks tend to be ignorant is that they fail to see that the C word is spelled ASK, not AX. And when they say X, it gives the sentence an entirely different meaning. And that is what I feel holds black back. Female call in viewer. Oprah Winfrey Show 1987. Not on methodology. Collecting information about attitudes to language is a tricky business. First, social treatment. Sociolinguistics can infer attitudes by observing the way language is used in the public domain. Second, direct measures. Sociolinguistics can ask direct questions about people's attitudes to particular language or language varieties or even linguistic feature. Example, do you like the Welsh language? Disclosed yes or no question are easy to code, so you can collect answers from large numbers of people using a written questionnaire or an interview schedule and then count the response easily. Last, indirect measures. A third way of collecting data and language attitudes is to use an indirect measures which elicit the respondents' attitudes without making them feel self-conscious or embarrassed. Then, not on methodology. Attitudes to language are important to sociolinguistics for a variety of reasons. Social dialectologists have claimed that shared attitudes to speech or shared speech norms are the crucial criteria in defining members of the same speech community. Attitudes to vernacular varieties or the language of disparate groups affect many teachers' academic expectation of those who use those varieties with implication for their academic progress. Not surprisingly, it has also been found that attitudes to the way people speak affect employers' decision about who to hire. Clearly, attitudes to language have implication in many social spheres and illustrate well the ways in which sociolinguistic research often has an applied dimension. In the next section, I will give some examples of ways in which sociolinguistics research has proved useful in the educational sphere in particular.
Next, sociolinguistics and education. First, vernacular dialects and educational disadvantage. In many speech communities, middle-class children do better at school than working-class children. Pada komunitas bahasa, anak-anak kelas menengah dianggap lebih baik di sekolah daripada anak-anak kelas pekerja. In English-speaking communities, these facts, fakta-fakta tersebut sering menyesatkan. Hal ini berkaitan dengan fakta bahwa anak-anak dari kelompok yang sukses cenderung menggunakan bentuk-bentuk dialek yang lebih standar. Sedangkan ucapan anak-anak dari kelompok yang kurang berhasil atau anak-anak pekerja seringkali menyertakan bentuk-bentuk vernakular yang sangat banyak. Sebagai tambahan penjelasan, vernacular sendiri adalah bentuk bahasa yang dipakai dalam kehidupan sehari-hari oleh suatu golongan atau kaum masyarakat. Many sociolinguists believe that their primary obligation is to educate the community to accept variation and vernacular forms. Banyak ahli sosiolinguistik percaya bahwa tugas utama mereka adalah mendidik masyarakat untuk menerima variasi dan bentuk-bentuk vernakular, without stereotyping their users as uneducated and low status, rather than train vernacular users to adopt standard speech forms, tanpa menstereotipkan penggunanya sebagai tidak berpendidikan dan berstatus rendah daripada melatih pengguna vernakular untuk mengadopsi bentuk-bentuk ujaran yang standar. Second, linguistic deficit. Sociolinguists demonstrated that claims that minority group children and working-class children were linguistically deprived were generally based on inadequate tests. Ahli sosiolinguistik memberi klaim bahwa anak-anak kelompok minoritas dan anak-anak kelas pekerja secara linguistik umumnya tidak cukup cakap. Ini didasarkan pada tes yang tidak memadai. Kontribusi utama yang dibuat ahli sosiolinguistik di bidang ini adalah menghasilkan bukti tentang pengaruh faktor konstekstual pada pidato. An example to illustrate this point, untuk menentukan sejauh mana kosakata dan tata bahasa mereka, biasanya meminta anak-anak untuk menyelesaikan beberapa tes bahasa. At one time, these tests were often administered by an adult stranger from a different social background from the child, and sometimes from a different ethnic group from the child too. Sebagai aturan, masing-masing anak akan diberikan sesi tanya-jawab atau interview secara individual di dalam ruang kelas yang tenang di sekolah. Anak-anak dari latar belakang minoritas dan kelas pekerja yang diuji dalam kondisi ini umumnya tidak berhasil dengan baik. They responded monosyllabically, saying as little as possible and escaping with a relief after it was all over. Middle-class children, on the other hand, tended to do much better. Mereka lebih siap untuk menjawab pertanyaan yang diajukan. Next one is social linguistics and forensic linguistics. Forensic linguistics is a branch of applied linguistics. The application of this branch is for legal matters, based on the study, understanding, and use of the language for forensic purposes. Jadi, linguistik forensik adalah cabang dari linguistik terapan. Penerapan cabang ini untuk masalah hukum berdasarkan kajian, pemahaman, dan penggunaan bahasa untuk keperluan forensik. Forensic linguists work in a very wide range of social contexts. Selain penelitian tentang bagaimana bahasa digunakan dalam pengaturan hukum tertulis dan lisan, mereka juga memberikan bukti ahli kepada pengadilan tentang masalah bahasa. Example of sociolinguistic use in forensic purposes. Sociolinguists assisted in identifying characteristics of the likely author of next public text, seperti surat ancaman yang dibuat oleh anonim. Second, linguists identified grammatical strategies which can disadvantage witnesses in court cases. Grammatical evidence supported claims that a text written to explain procedures was incomprehensible, thus excusing an error yang memiliki konsekuensi serius. Misalnya, kalimat pasif dan verba intransitif sering digunakan oleh pengacara pembela untuk menghindari pihak yang dibelanya dihubungkan dengan seseorang yang dituduh sebagai pihak yang melakukan kejahatan. Alright, I think that's enough from us. Thank you for your attention and thank you so much for watching our videos. Don't hesitate to ask any question to us and give your feedback. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.